Good evening, everybody. Dadman Walking 55 here, coming to you on a new night. Well, a temporary new night. Just, hey, Sunday night, 10 p.m. You know, our great friend that usually has his time slot, Mark D with a C, is out of the country, actually celebrating his anniversary. So I'm bored. Why not? Let's go. We'll come in, try to keep the fires burning a little bit with whoever shows up. So share it out. Get your neighbors, dogs, everybody else here with you. To come in and say hi. Tonight's kind of a laid back, it's a chill chat where we're just kind of take up topics that I want to talk about. Sometimes, and feel free if there are topics that y'all throw out there in the chat that get my interest. We might even talk about those some. But while I go ahead to tweet out that we are live, let me go ahead and bring in my guest tonight. It's not a wild and crazy squirrel stream tonight, but it's a conversational night, unless I go and rant about Billy Napier or something sports related. But it's the great JT Kirk. Hell, Captain.
Hell, good evening. Happy fall evening to you. I don't know if it's fall yet down there in the great state of Florida.
We don't have fall in Florida. Have you not learned that yet?
Yeah, you have the hot season and the rainy, not as hot season, but still pretty hot.
And the very, very hot, hotter than hot season. So
yeah,
it's insane.
I forgot palm trees don't get fall colors. That's kind of a bummer in a way, right?
That and palmetto bushes, they do not. So no, exactly.
Neither do palmetto bugs. Palmetto bugs also do not get fall colors.
Wait till those fly and hit you. Those are fun, especially when his sister goes running and screaming in terror. Yeah. So
well, mine doesn't like birds, so I assume a palmetto bug flying at you isn't going to be much better.
No, it's not. They're big, they're huge, and I heard about the story of my sister once, and she was at a big seafood place on the intercoastal, and it was like the screams they said you could hear it for miles. It was so funny.
Now, do they serve shrimp there or prawns?
It's always shrimp, Hungry started this.
So you're telling me they were throwing
prawns.
Shrimp on the Barbie?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Well, no, I'm not going to tell you. I will really tell if Hungry comes by and sits in our chat. I will say just for him. But also another thing that Mrs. shared on Friday on her stream was that Friday was, I think it was international, or was it? It was a koala day.
Oh,
Koala Bear Day. Yeah, our Protect Koala Bear Day. And you know how Hungry loves those darling little cute little cuddly koala bears. So
yes,
it's
indeed.
crazy. Well, let's go greet the chat here. Let's say hello to the chat tonight. We are only on the YouTube side, so hey, we got 670 subscribers. Go ahead and subscribe if you have not already. We appreciate the support. Hit that like button. Really would like to see that. Let me actually turn my moderation over to all messages instead of top messages. It's a little thing you got to watch out for. So if you don't do all messages.
I wish, maybe I'll get it for Christmas here from YouTube. Give me a setting for the YouTube chat that lets it default to live instead of top. Pretty please.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
It's been how many years? People have been asking for that. How hard would it be?
I did not know it till a few months ago, and I think Jess brought it to my attention that I needed to change it from top to all messages. But you have to go in there every time and change it. So it's crazy. Well, let's go ahead and say hello to the great people in the chat. The great Max Redstone. Hello, Max.
One.
Oh, God, please. We're not even 5 minutes in. I order you to go take a number two. Stunning. Oi. How are you, Megatron? Good to see you. Buddy Hepburn. How are you doing? So good to see you tonight, buddy. The manager would like to know, will this be a stream for pleasure or for business? It's kind of a bit of both. We're just sitting back, relaxing, having a chance to talk about some topics we feel like we want to talk about. Look, there will be sports ball, but look, it's not sports ball necessarily as you think it will be. There's a lot of sports ball that's going into business and even politics in a way. Not party politics, but government
local
funding,
politics.
Yeah, local politics, funding sources, things like that. So we'll see where we get at with that. So hey, Pune's Cat, welcome. Good to have you too. Let's see, held to JT Kirk. Of course, like Buddy said, Like and subscribe. Hit those buttons there. So let's see who else got here. JPRPH1. Hey, how are you doing tonight, JPRPH1? Good to see you. Buddy Hepburn, neither did the Jaguars, falling to 0-4. But yeah, I just looked 21-3, and I guess Derrick Henry ran an 87-yard run right on the first play.
Real quick on that, the other team that I'm playing against in fantasy this week, not that anyone cares, but they have the quarterback, the kicker, and their star wide receiver all playing against me, and I think they share 6 points in between them. Which,
wow.
Yeah, so cool. I'm liking Baltimore tonight. That's all I can say.
That's cool. Well, if you had Oklahoma the other day against Auburn, they were down their top 5 wide receivers, and they still beat Auburn. So,
jeez.
Hey, oh boy, don't get started on that. Join me Wednesday night talking about football. We're talking about the big games in the SEC this week, especially that Georgia-Alabama game.
Well, I posted some great news for this coming Wednesday on Twitter earlier today. I think you liked it. You liked that.
Oh yeah, because the local stores in Michigan now have a sports gear half off.
Or is it buy one get one half off? Yep. All right. On collegiate sportwear. Mm-hmm.
I still hate the screwing around with BOGOs. BOGOs should be BOGO. You get one free, not this 50% crap.
Right.
That's one thing that they've started. They slide it into you.
It's like buy one, we'll give you a handshake and a coupon, and then like 10% off a future purchase on a Tuesday, and you're like, what?
I don't want digital coupons. The other thing they started doing digital coupons, but now it's like I see buy 2 get 2 free. I don't want 4 damn cases of soda. I just want 2.
It's we have a regional super grocery store, Meijer, competitive to like Walmart, but I think it's a little bit more upscale, barely, but it is. Went to all digital points with their what they call M-Perks, and they had people scamming it, and some guys going to prison for stealing like millions of dollars worth of M-Perks points off of people. Yeah. So it's hard to keep track of that stuff. I mean, unless you're really diligent keeping a ledger at home. How do you know where those are going?
No, I know. I could use. I'm more of a Twinkie guy than a ding dong guy. Mrs. like the ding dongs, but I like the Twinkies.
Twinkies don't last forever. People think they're like
that's
nuclear
wrong.
Apocalypse food.
They Die Hard. You say Die Hard lied to us.
I would never, but stretch the truth a bit, perhaps.
Yeah. Well, Die Hard taught us that's everything a growing boy needs to have, and they last forever. So, but yeah, last night was really an interesting game, JT. I'm sitting here on in a conversation with somebody, texting, and then all of a sudden it was like, because it was 30-7.5. It was a one-sided game with Alabama up. Next thing I look, it's 33-21. I'm like, holy crap! Then Georgia scores 33-28. Then Georgia takes the lead. Then the next play, it just was like, what a wild game. And even then, Georgia almost rallied again. Just, you and I been talked a lot yesterday, how bad the college football action was yesterday.
We did. It was like they put Agatha all at once, the Acolyte, and like the last season of The Mandalorian all on at the same time.
Wow. I know. It just... Yeah. At least it ended with that. But even the West Coast games stunk. They were not really competitive games. The 10 to 11 o'clock games, they ended up being.
Yeah, thank goodness I didn't have to stay up for any of my teams, right? That was.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Studying, that'd be good. Gonna do a showcase. Plan it out. Get some spice. Yeah, exactly. That's always good. So, Putin's Cat mentioned ding dongs. Buddies mentions ho-hos. Ahoy, shooter, the emu with a gun. Good to see you tonight. Oh, and yeah, we all know the officiating is crazy. NFL, college, of course, the NFL is out there to save the Taylor Swift, the Kansas City Swifts. But yeah, it's I will say though, having actually officiated some games like for high school basketball or even youth basketball. Especially when they get taller than you and they're so fast, it's easier said than done, in some cases. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, but then again, some cases is like, what the heck are you looking at?
Well, especially when they've got 5 or 6 officials
Mm-hmm.
out there on the field. It's like, okay, you're dividing up what you're all looking at, and you still can't get it.
Oh yeah, well, your team, big case last year with the Cowgirls, right?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's not retread that one.
Well, we
Oh
can a little
boy.
bit, but Buddy said today's KC game was egregious. At least try to hide it. Wow, I was joking with my brother-in-law when I showed up over at his house uh, earlier today. I joked about that because that game was early on, and wow, yeah, I like Buddy said, at least try to hide it. We know that officials always have their favorites, and it's one of the greatest conspiracy theories in all of sports is whether it's college or pro, are certain teams protected? Do you believe that they are, JT?
Yes. Oh yes.
Is
Yes.
it an unwritten rule, or do you think that there are directives that go out?
Well, is it written down, or is it a phone conversation? So it's not written down. Probably a phone convo. I mean, I'm trying to get my aluminum foil hat on here right now, but
Keep
I
an ear out for
definitely
the black helicopters.
I definitely think that there's hanky panky going on. And if you're telling me you're not paying the refs what they should be paid, and then you have Vegas being what it is, that none of them are on the take. Yeah. I've bought enough swampland in Florida over the years to
Yep.
be a little bit more clear eyed than that. Right.
Hey, Balzette, good to see you tonight. Thanks for dropping by at least. Good to see you. We got 11 people. So make sure y'all smash that like button too while you're around. We appreciate you being here. So Buddy says owners make as much money in Vegas whether their team wins or loses. Yeah, of course, God. Every time I hear
Well,
Vegas and NFL, I think of the new Junior Davis, and that hideous haircut. Just that
well,
haircut with the little
mhm.
fake mustache.
Well, here was something that I was talking about with my fantasy football chat, which is also a lot of guys that I used to work with or still work with. And it wasn't even really about football. It was more about the business of football. And one of the guys is a football coach himself for a high school team in the area. And he was like, I'm trying to make my team as good as I can, on this fantasy team, but there are just so many injuries this year. It's crazy. Yeah. And I said, well, of course. I mean, you add yet another game onto the season, you're just going to have more players hurt. Now you're thinking, okay, sports ball. No, it's called, how many gigs do you add on to a singer before their voice is going to go? How many dance performances do you have, before how many musical shows before you have the understudy that has to come out? How many times do you go to the well before the well comes up empty? And when you look at this, I see you really got to get the player union together on this and say, look, we can't continue to do this because you can't make 17 games. How many players are not going to make 17 games this season that actually play? I'm not talking about, the punter that isn't going to get hit maybe once a season. So and I was talking about it. I said, well, there's a lot of things that have really contributed to this. One, you play too many games. 2, you kept preseason in. 3, you play on artificial turf. Now you look at the 1979 Dolphins, right? And how no team can win every single game in the season. Well, they can't keep a roster for that long. Right. You can't keep players healthy. You can't keep a roster. The game is so much faster than it was in 79. You play so many more games. Your product suffers as a result. Right. And I've said, the only thing the owners care about is money, to the point that they just, scam the taxpayer out of money, allegedly. In my opinion, an unfair deal with the municipalities and the taxpayers that they want to, sell their product to, and all they care about is the TV money and the seat money. If they could have 30 games a year, they would. And I even broached my idea to them, and they seemed to like it. I said, well, look, play 20 games, but every player can only play 14 games or 15 games. And then you get a bigger roster. You hire more guys into the league. You introduce some instability on the roster, so you don't know what these teams are going to do week to week. The owners get more money at the end of the day. You get a longer season, but the players are more protected, right? Because it's not just 17 games plus your preseason; it's also the playoffs too.
Mm-hmm. And see, this is what I try to tell people that makes sports not because I know, especially in certain groups, that nobody wants to hear sports ball, blah blah blah. But there are bigger issues with sports ball than just the game itself. A lot of it, like you said, stadium funding, and now it's becoming even worse at the college level. Because I know Culture Casino and I last year did a show where we talked about college sports specifically about the NIL, the transfer portal, and we did even scratch the surface. And in college, it's like there are no rules really. Each state kind of has a loose form of rules, but the NCAA president the other day, let me find the article, the other day, the president of the NCAA went on record calling for Congress to pass legislation on the NIL because the NCAA cannot set its own rules because every time they try to, they lose in court for antitrust reasons. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, how can you enforce something if you can't make the rules for it? The NCAA, even though the NCAA has historically been horrible and very inconsistent at times, they also still have no enforcement these days. It's like not like the 70s and 80s. Everybody feared them.
Nowadays, I've got the story up.
Okay, let me bring it up here. So all right, let's go here. With this, let me take the comment off. So, and see, this, folks, like I said, this is why sports is more than just on the field stuff. The NCAA president describes dysfunction NIL urges Congress to act. The reason why he is, as I said, is so many times they cannot really create the rules from state to state. This is, and what we're seeing now, folks, is the dark side of the NIL coming to fruition. We're seeing examples of it. For example, the UNLV started season 3-0. Well, the rule is if you don't play a fourth game, you can redshirt, which means you can go somewhere else. Well, the player complained that he had an agreement, but it wasn't in writing, that UNLV did not honor it, and so he's transferring. So basically, you have the perception now of a player quitting on their team because they're not getting paid, and then some players are transferring just for the NIL somewhere else. Is there agents out there doing stuff, trying to cut deals? Recruiting is back now, JT. That's the other thing. We have always had tampering in the NFL. Tampering has always been a thing in the NFL and the NBA, all the professional sports. Now we have it happening, or very definitely possible in the college ranks.
Which really means the high school range.
And
right?
Actually, they've started recruiting younger and younger players now, with the promise of these paychecks.
Right. And you have 17-year-olds, 16-year-olds getting talked to about $1 million paychecks or $100,000. I mean, a lot of this, especially in a poor community, is, your ticket out of poverty for a lot of these people. And, the players at 16 and 17 don't know what they're doing. A lot of these guys in the NFL don't know what they're doing. Right. It's just easy to get taken advantage of.
Yeah, because one of the things in the posting was that he lashed out at the dysfunction in today's NIL environment, quoting from ESPN.com, while expressing the desire to see Congress to create national guidelines to shape the name, image, and likeness endorsement deals. I didn't realize basically that the schools basically put the money into like a basic. They almost have like a slush fund. Mm-hmm. They put all this money in, then they can promise the players this much money out of it. Like what? It was really odd. It's not the way I thought it was supposed to be done. I thought they were supposed to be able to make deals with outside entities and all this other stuff, but no. Apparently, it's flat for paying.
And if you think all the money they bring in a calendar year is going to get dispersed to the athletes in that calendar year, well, you're kidding yourself, right? That's not happening.
The UNLV situation, player quits, his agent explained that he made the decision after not being paid $100,000 for an NIL deal promised by an assistant coach when the quarterback agreed to transfer to the Rebels last year. Oh my gosh! Hey, verbal agreements, you always got to get in writing, And
right. And I've got that story up here too.
Yeah. So there's a contesting of whether they are, when the promise was made. UNLV has said that it'd be a violation if they paid him what he was saying, but he, this is an example that the NCAA president says where we, quote, continue to see evidence of dysfunction in today's NIL environment, including examples of promises made but not kept to student athletes.
And the NCAA rules don't allow you to play for two schools in one season.
What's that?
So in NCAA rules, the player can't play for two different schools in the same season. So you basically have a non-compete that's written in there. And imagine if you were going to work somewhere, Dadman, and they said, we'll pay you X amount. We'll pay you $100 an hour. Then they come in and say, well, we're going to pay you $10 an hour. Mm-hmm. And then, tough for the next calendar year, you can't go work anywhere else.
Right. See, one of the things that they have here, as I also pointed out, was in his release, he pointed out the contract. NCAA provides athletes, includes what he calls recommended fair terms, but NCAA, which has been a steady loser in court in recent years on issues of player payments, does not have the authority to compel athletes to go by its standards. On Thursday, attorneys filed a reworded settlement proposal on a lawsuit that would funnel $2.78 billion to current and former players as part of a new revenue-sharing deal between schools and athletes. The NCAA is a defendant in the lawsuit, and settlement also restricts its oversight on many NIL deals. So the terms of the settlement are supposed to last 10 years, though other factors such as players' potential attempt to unionize, JT, you mentioned that just yesterday or today, and with either state or federal legislation will have an impact. So basically, that's why it's calling for Congress to create national guidelines with this. You and I talked about college unionization.
We did.
I believe Dartmouth actually did it.
Well, but they need a real school to start it. No offense to them academically. I'm talking about in terms of football. They would need at least a Clemson or, like a Georgia or a Texas level, Michigan level. Some school like that to really get it kicked off before it would really take off. Otherwise, it won't gain traction because, it'll be easy enough for a school to say, well, if you don't join it, we'll pay you an extra, $100 a week or something, right? So until you get a bunch of momentum rolling down the hill, it's just not going to take off.
Or like Buddy mentions, if they do bonus incentives, depending on how the contracts are phrased, we see this in baseball or basketball. Well, he's magically injured today. I'm fine. No, you're magically injured. You're not in the lineup. Well, how am I going to get my contract? You're magically injured. I disputes all the time. It's like you said, it's the dirty side of football or any sport.
Well, and it's not even that. There's game studios that will promise bonuses and big payouts if you get like a Metacritic score for your game of at least X number. But there's been multiple times out there where they're like, they need an 85 and they get an 84 or an 83. And it's like, okay, did you pay a journalist $1,000 to save yourself $100 million? Come on.
Yeah.
Like that kind of stuff does happen. It does. It does.
So, folks, like I said, that's why sports ball is not just sports. For we talked too about funding. We touched a little bit on taxpayer-funded stadiums. Everybody comes with hands out. We just see the Oakland A's play their last game in Oakland now, moving actually going so bad that they insist on moving to Vegas without a stadium. Didn't even have deals in place for financing and. Are going to play, I think, 2 years in a Sacramento minor league baseball stadium. Who would ever thought that? But it's like even here, with Jaguars, other teams, it's all about the money that they want taxpayer funded, and that's of course, they want all the money or as much of the money and control over it. I believe Jerry's World was mostly privately financed, I think. Build your own damn stadium, pay for it all yourself, and keep it all. That's the way the free market should work, And
Well,
because one of the
then they would
biggest
have
things
an
they do is
incentive.
creating jobs. That's another thing, is creating jobs. And you're like,
But
how
they're
many?
temporary,
Yeah.
and chances are you're pulling them off of another job anyway. The way construction works in most markets, it's just going to delay another project. Yeah, I've always said in the NFL, what other industry does the government just give, like the local citizenry, just give you something to a billionaire like that they could pay for themselves? And there probably are other examples, but they're few and far between. But we were even talking, just the two of us the other day about how college sports, so much money has gotten into it that, it's kind of scary when you think about how much money goes into it, and they're not even like their own businesses, right? Because most of these schools are public institutions that are funded partially, at least, by taxpayers. And so they should have all this oversight, but yet their motivations and their funding sources and where all the money travels can be quite opaque. And they're not run like a business, right? They're run like this shadow entity that you don't know where the money goes and where it comes from and how it gets spent and who gets what to be quiet on this and that.
Well, see, like the NILs have these separate little quote collectives, these little organizations and stuff. They're supposed to follow rules, and I believe they're supposed to be nonprofit. It's also like in the state of Florida, like that's what happens. Everybody thinks that, like a university is all public money. It's not. You have private donations, you have gifts and stuff like that go through these direct support organizations that are outside the normal state laws and rules and stuff. Their books are closed to the outside. I mean, they quote have their audits, but they play by a different standpoint. You look at the state of the Florida coaches, the state of Florida coaches, they're capped by statute at how much they can make as a state employee, but all the rest of the salary comes from the direct support organizations. Look at the University of Florida, the UFF, University of Florida Foundation, are down there. You look at UCF; they've had a big support booster group. That's how all the money comes through. It's not taxpayer money anymore. It's donated money and things like that. But yet
they could still enjoy the alternative, accounting and disclosure structure of this government institution that doesn't have the same controls as a publicly traded company might.
Yeah.
Right. And it makes you wonder, right? Where does this money come from? Where does it go? If we're not strictly audited, if we don't have to appeal to a consumer to get this product and make it at a profit, right? How many times have they covered something up with money? I often wonder about that, right? Like you hear about these programs like Penn State's probably the most famous recent example. But there's definitely others out there, and I won't get into what was done. But how many horrible acts have been covered up over the years by this money?
Yeah,
and the convenience of not having to disclose things.
Let me say hello to small time. Let me say a quick hello to Small Time Republic. I laugh. It's dealing with a specific name. I won't put that out there, but I know exactly what you're saying and referring to. I'll tell you out there, JT.
Yeah,
it's kind of those borderlines but yeah, it truly is. It is the outside money that comes in. I mean, we see in the NIL. Actually, I'm going to come back to some of these. I'm going to start some of these chat stars so that we can get back to them. But that's what we see is all the private money comes in. It's the haves and have-nots. Even you look at some schools like Florida or Clemson, either don't use the NIL or they're not good at it, or they try to do it the old way, and they're falling further and further behind. I know the big debate with Dabo Swinney is he won't use the NIL, he won't use the transfer portal, and he wants to do it the old way. And and those teams are falling further and further behind. because that's the biggest thing is when those groups are outside the normal watchdogs and stuff. Unless there's something requiring a subpoena and all, but they're not subject to the same types of oversight and rules as the governmental agencies. Because of course,
what'll happen to them, right? Is they play not as a market leader on a lot of these things. They're not competitive like a leader anymore. They're going to end up like Michigan State basketball, which, Tom Izzo, a great coach, will not play ball with the Kansas, Kentucky, North Carolina, Duke. How many other teams can I name out there that have cheated basically and been blasted by the NCAA, right?
Yeah.
For setting up these NBA super teams for 1 year and then having their programs nuked. He won't do that. So what happens to Michigan State? They make it to the Sweet 16, the Elite Eight, and then they're done because he couldn't get the players.
But then again, does not always guarantee results. Look at Kentucky and Calipari. Look at how many teams in the last 10 years. I mean, they've not had the success of most years, considering as many all-star teams as they built. You do look back at a lot of frustration. I know the ending days in Kentucky basketball were they were ready for a change. They were ready for him to go, and the way he kept doing it, building the team.
Right.
So, but it's just that's why sports is a lot more than just what X's and O's, Jimmy and Joe's. What happens on the field. There's so much behind the scenes stuff, both at the pro and college level. So Max is saying, thanks about total renovation of Wrigley Field cost $750 million. The 2016 championship season could have been played outside of Wrigley Field, but cost the team $100 million to do so. Wow. Did you ever see Blue Chips? I never did.
No. There's a lot of movies out there I've never seen, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, I know, and everybody gasp at it. Usually it's like Miracle on 34th Street and all the other stuff like that. And they all die. Like, damn, man, how do you not see this? Our Princess Bride, like, a Small Town Report says Blue Chips is awesome.
I've seen Chips, just not Blue Chips.
Well, we got 2 Auburn fans here. I hope y'all join me Wednesday night at 10 o'clock because I don't want to spoil all my thunder, but
make that 3. War Eagle. Hashtag War Eagle.
I tell you, I feel there is a YouTuber out there that is an Alabama fan. He said he actually felt sorry for Auburn fans. I will tell you, Peyton Thorne, actually, who you had experience with at Michigan State, he looked like a great quarterback Saturday. He threw a bomb for a touchdown. He looked good until one play. Well, actually, a couple plays where he threw the ball away, and I know he was on him, but one pick six just changed the entire game and everything. So, but yeah. So, let's see. Blue Chips is awesome. It was a very underrated movie, but tells us 30 cents. Exactly. Okay, that's what I thought I've seen about it. But
I'm sure it's only gotten worse since then, too. Exactly. I'm sure it's only gotten worse.
No, it all does. It always, and nothing ever goes uphill, always downhill. And Buddy, fair guy. Oakland has its share of the blame, but people blaming fans don't understand the costume could have been sold out every game. Fisher would have still moved the team. Yes, he was hell bent on going to Vegas. They did not even have taxpayer funding lined up. They just bought a piece of property, and basically the Tropicana is no more because that's where they're going to put a flipping baseball field, and there was no infrastructure. Actually, the state legislature, from the articles I was reading months ago, didn't even have a bill before them. It wasn't even being legislated.
Right.
And he's like, I'm moving to Oakland. Reminds me of a coworker of mine many, many years ago that hated my boss so much, which is understandable. But then it was like, I'm going to transfer. She got an idea to say, I'm going to transfer. So she couldn't wait to tell him I'm transferring. Like, you didn't have anything to go by. You didn't have any promises, no openings. But it's like this. It really was a ass backwards, as we say down here. Move for that. Yep. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Well, that happened to the Rams in St. Louis, right? People forget that St. Louis had a team Well, Sci-Fi Mommy doesn't forget, but they had that team and they just went to LA. It's like how many football teams can you have in the state of California? Really?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, well, we got 3 in Florida, so New York's got 2 in one city, and yeah, that interception was tipped. But it's the fear I've heard about is like him again. I think between both quarterbacks, they turn the ball over so much that there was no patience for that, and he really looked good. I was telling JT, I thought he looked really good. And then that happened. But, yeah, he did whine a lot. Of course, Hugh Freeze was on his butt there in the fourth quarter before that pick because I think he was like, don't throw the ball all the time. I think he was checking off into passing plays instead of running it some down near the end. But, yeah, at some point you got to quit whining and keep playing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. So, Buddy said they had 2 teams, St. Louis Cardinals and then the transplanted Rams.
Yep. And how many people go to those games in LA? LA is not a football town. I'll say that right now.
No, it's not. Even college. Look at the friggin' Coliseum when the USC plays.
Right.
It's not. It's more of a showy, it's really an NBA type town, flash and show.
Yep. And they have a good soccer team there too.
What soccer? Anyway, our friend Daisy Blossom was a kid. He talks about American football. She's very, very, very distinct. So, So she's very distinct with that. You guys, our real football is what you Americans call soccer. So it's really, really cool. So, yeah, JT, let's take a look at, since we talked about the Oakland A's and their move, we can continue about the stadiums a little bit if you'd like to. But tell us, let's take a look at the baseball playoffs. So, Buddy said his dad.
Getting some echo from you.
Oh, sorry about it. Still there?
No, it's good now.
Okay.
Well, I'll keep talking and see.
Okay.
I think we're okay now.
Okay, well, my Wi-Fi here, it happens. The acoustics in here are not the best, but yeah, if it happens, you keep talking, and I'll either sometimes I'll have to work back in if the Wi-Fi goes down. So just keep the stream going, and you will be rescued at some point. So, his dad still has Oakland Trailers gear from when the Raiders left the first time. Wow, I forgot about that back then, but yeah, they moved twice. In St. Louis, yes, the Battlehawks has a UFL team. Exactly. Our friend Woopa Troopa is actually a season ticket holder, goes to the games. So, and yeah, I did like the UFL, although I hate that the NFL's going with their stupid kickoff rule. That whole stupid. Just kick the ball off like we've done forever. Just stop this.
Right.
It just looks so stupid now. Noticed a couple weeks ago on a Sunday night football game. I'm like, what is that?
It's just getting you ready for them to phase it out in 5 years and just start the ball at the 25. That's all it is.
Well, why don't we just play flag football? If we're so worried about injuries and stuff like that, let's just play flag football. Two-hand touch.
They won't do anything else to interrupt the business model. So I had another buddy that said, going back to that conversation, I said, go back to grass. If you really are having problems with injuries, go back to real grass because it slows the game down. So people know that the force is mass and energy. And if you take out some of the speed, you're going to have less energy in that tackle, which is going to help protect the players. But they don't want that. They want the game to be as fast as possible. So we're going to do all artificial turf.
Let's keep running the clock. But we got to have that 2-minute warning that we stuck in college football now too.
Well, here's another thing. They said, why don't you just give everybody 2 bye weeks?
Yep.
Just have 2 bye weeks in the season. Have everybody on the same bye weeks. You just don't do football for 2 weekends sometime in the season. Gives everybody a rest game. They said cut out the Thursday business. People were saying, how is it that you think that players aren't going to get hurt? How is your product not going to suffer when you're going Sunday and then playing again on a Thursday?
Yep. Well, the Cowboys just did that where they had to play, I think, Sunday and then a Thursday game. So
when you start looking at this like a product, it tends to suffer, and fans need to start looking at it like a product and saying, I don't want these games on Thursdays. I really don't. Put them on Sundays, Mondays if you have to.
I liked back in the mid 90s. I thought it was really cool because ESPN, one of the first games I remembered was Miami Hurricanes and like Oakland. I mean, Miami Hurricanes and like Virginia, I think. That was cool having, it was like a taste of college on Thursday instead of Saturday. But then all of a sudden it exploded. Everybody started playing on Thursday. Then Friday, which is a high school night. Then we got the MAC coming in. Hey, we're going to do Tuesday night football. What? It's just like I love my football, but I like it on Saturday, not during the week. It just I was something special with that one Thursday night college game. It was nice, but I mean, it's just I don't know. It's
in small time Republic says there'll never be a week where the NFL gives every team a bye. Never say never. If they can find a way to make money off of that, maybe move the All-Star game to that week. Do something that way, or have heaven forbid the player union do something, them growing a pair.
Wednesday night Sun Belt, Fun Belt. Yes, I could not remember which conference plays games on Wednesday night. We're going to be having it probably about midway through the year, the back half. Is when they start playing on Wednesday night. So I'll be streaming while they're playing. Who knows? Exactly. So, since we talked about the A's and the end of theirs, and Max Redstone talked about the Cubs a little bit, let's take a look at, I guess, the current playoff picture. So explain to us what's going on, what's happening, because I am clueless.
Sure. So the AL field is all set. The National League, the number 5 and 6 seeds between Atlanta, the Mets, and Arizona will be determined tomorrow. So the right side of your screen is still up in flux with the teams that are already there. They're locked in, obviously. LA, Phillies are both in. It looks like San Diego's there as well. The thing with the American League, they are all set. Now, the Tigers just made it in on Friday. I looked at this yesterday, and I was talking with Admiral Teague, who's a huge Yankees fan, saying, okay, this bracket was different yesterday.
Right. Help me with something real quick. Okay. Because there's 2 empty holes on the National League side. So are there going to be 2 games tomorrow for that one spot, for those 2 spots?
I don't know what has to be.
Are they going to flip a coin?
Yeah, I need to see. Let's see.
By the way, Wes Cagel's here. Hell, Wes Cagel. I see my Eagles blew it. They almost never failed to disappoint. At least you had the Phils to root for. Yeah, good time to be a Philly fan.
So Monday there's a doubleheader in Atlanta, which will determine the final 2 teams. And if there is a tie with the Mets and the Braves, then Atlanta is out altogether.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, and there are multiple scenarios on how this could go. So I don't want to really go through all of those because it's going to confuse me even if I read them off.
A doubleheader between the Braves and the Mets. They're playing 2 games.
Let's see.
Are they?
I have to look who they're actually playing.
Oh, because of the hurricane. Yeah. Okay, and Arizona is also in the mix for a 5 or 6. Okay, that's what's happening there. So.
Yeah, it's a doubleheader tomorrow at 1:10 and then at 4:40.
And then I guess it depends on. I guess Arizona goes in. Yeah, so Arizona could. Okay, so basically,
if you get a team that breaks away with 2 wins that day, then Arizona gets in.
Okay, now, but if they split, the Mets get in ahead of the Braves.
I believe so. I'm looking at the scenarios right now.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's
I
going to be
can.
complex on that.
What's
But
so funny? What's so funny though? I'm laughing here because I remember, well, not last year, but the year before. Was it last year? What was the year when the one player got hurt and they stopped the game? It was I think the Bills Chiefs game.
oh yeah,
It was their season. I think it was last year.
it was.
Okay. Well, I nearly blew Clobby's mind because we had to give up looking at the playoff scenarios because that game not being made up did all kinds of crap, and it was like, bad enough for some playoff possibilities, but there were so many with it, and of course, coin flip came into. It was just like we just quit reading, trying to figure out what it all meant. We just said, okay, it's a screwed up mess.
Right. Now, I'm a big American League guy because my Tigers are here. Now, yesterday when I looked at this, you had the Yankees here in first place, but then you had the Orioles and the Tigers down here at 4 and 5.
I can't believe the Orioles are actually good these days.
Well, and so it was going to be the winner of the Tigers Orioles would get to play the Yankees, which is really what I wanted to see. And then it was Kansas City and Houston up here at the top at 6 and 3. So they must have had more games since then that reshuffled this around. Now Detroit's down at 6, and I really don't want them playing the Houston Astros.
The Tigers, though, JT, I did not realize the Tigers. They were just a couple years really, really bad, weren't they?
Oh, they were so bad. No one was even buying tickets to go.
Yeah, I'm like, holy crap, That is something. Hey, you get time to be a Detroit fan unless you're a Pistons fan because the Lions made the championship game last year, the conference championship. Yep. Detroit's in the playoffs this year.
I still wish the Red Wings wouldn't be.
Yeah, Small Time said earlier this year there's a player that played for both teams in the same game, Danny Jansen. Wow.
Did they actually change teams, or is he just saying that they were so bad they scored for the other team?
I don't know. Okay. I have to look that up, though.
But so, yeah, I don't know. When you watch playoff baseball, it's laborious. There's too many games that get played, in my opinion, for the modern sport. If I'm going to do that, I'd rather see the Tigers play the Yankees. I don't really care if they play the Indians.
Well, all I know is when we have a full baseball stream, we'll have to bring Max Redstone in for this because I know he loves his baseball, big Cubs fan. Because I tell you what, I want to talk baseball with him too specifically because there's so much about baseball I just can't. I mean, it's like they did with Star Wars. I mean, it's like what baseball is now. They less Jedi'd it for me. Seriously, because all brings largely to Jake Skywalker. Well, I hate inbreeding play. The American and National League should never meet till the World Series. They should have their own league offices. One should have the DH, the other shouldn't, and that's the way it should always be. But they destroyed every bit of tradition out of the game over the years. Plus, then they pimped out all the Major League Baseball stadiums. Yeah. I mean, I worked as an usher in the '89 at a minor league baseball field. I mean, baseball would have never done that, putting ads up on a field and things like that, because it was a decorum. It was an air. It was like, a lawyer with a suit versus a lawyer in flip flops.
Right. They got better call Saul instead of, what is it? Gosh, who do you guys have in Florida? I'm trying to remember. Your billboard lawyer down there.
Morgan and Morgan, yeah.
Yeah, we have them up here now too. We have them up here, and I had to text my sister. I'm like, they finally caught up to me. She's like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, Morgan and Morgan and Morgan and Morgan are finally up here. And she's like, "Oh God." I'm like, but you're getting that instead of a classy attorney, right?
I know.
So,
yeah. But hey,
anyway.
Okay, Small Town Republic said there's rescheduling of the game to finish it. He was traded in between those dates. He was traded from the Jays to the Red Sox. He actually played for both teams in the same inning. See, I don't see how that's possible, though. At least in the old days, I would have thought their lineup cards from the day of the game would have stayed and not allowed to change the eligible players on that date. That's what's weird to me. But then again, it's new modern baseball. So traded between teams in the middle of the inning, and the game got delayed. Yeah. Yeah, it was the same game suspended due to weather. When the game resumed a month later, he was on the other team. But still, I thought a suspended game, you had to have the only the same players on your lineup card that were eligible that day could play further in the suspended game. Just because he's on their roster wouldn't have made him eligible. If he was not on that team the day the game initially was played, anyway, but.
Well, I was sitting here thinking at the top of the fourth, he was on one team, and the bottom of the fourth, he was on the other. You know?
And ads on Major League Baseball uniforms. Why don't we just call ourselves soccer now? Do I guess that's what we're doing. That just reminds me of Rat Race, the movie where they all gambled on everything and crazy and stuff. It's like, God, everything for a dime. It's so sad looking at Wrigley Field with a big Budweiser out there and stuff. It's just, oh man. So
presented by Adobe and Capital One.
Oh, God. Yeah, really.
They had to sell the bracket space to Adobe. And Booking.com and T-Mobile and Loan Depot.
Yep.
But yeah, so in the end, I was really hoping Detroit would get to play the Yankees, and well, maybe they will in the ALCS. But I just don't care as much if they're playing the Astros and the Indians. I don't. They're not storied opponents in the same way that the Yankees are. But hey.
Yep.
And the National League can go do its own thing. I don't care about the National League.
I agree with you. Yep. I was always a National League guy, so that's the way it is. So, Buddy Hepburn. See, I agree. I hate the Astros too, but that's from the National League days. So,
wasn't that George Bush's team back in the day?
Rangers, Texas Rangers.
Oh, he was the Rangers. Okay.
Yeah, or I'd like to say Texas. So, oh God. Small town Republic of Rocket Mortgage doesn't sponsor the Houston Rockets. Something is seriously wrong. Yeah, well, that makes sense.
They won't because Dan Gilbert owns.
This bad. Wes Cagle said, yeah, MLB players now look like NASCAR cars. Oh, my. Wow. Wow. I didn't realize it was that bad. Sorry, JT.
Oh, I was just going to say Dan Gilbert owns the parent company of Rocket Mortgage, so they're not going to sponsor the Houston Rockets because he has the Cavs, Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Anyway.
Yep. I got you. Hey.
Shall we get off the sports ball for the moment?
Yeah, we can. Other topics that are happening out. Unfortunately, I missed Blazing Saddles a couple weeks ago. I misjudged the dates. It was a 50th anniversary of it in the middle of the month. Like the 15th or 17th, Fathom Advance had it in the theater again. Mm-hmm. So, and Miss and I saw it a few years ago, probably for the 45th anniversary. It was not edited. It was the real movie.
Did they read off the trigger warning? Have some poor guy that doesn't read off the trigger warning?
They had nothing. They had that Burt Minkowitz guy from the Young Turks there introducing it like he did all the Fathom events things. So, what? The City Connect jerseys are, for the most part, a lot of money. Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
$$sign. Yeah.
Ass. Yeah. Okay. They don't look good, I guess. Well, see. Have you seen any good movies lately? I know the Miss and I'd like to go out, do some stuff. I'm trying to remember the last one we saw was Beetlejuice. But have you seen any movies?
The last movie new movies. I was going to say, have I seen any good movies lately? I saw Star Trek, The Undiscovered Country lately.
Oh yeah, I love that
stream. That's a good movie.
Yeah, I love it. Yes.
People thought I was too critical on that movie, but you know what? I gave it an A-. So,
well, just because you find faults or criticisms with something does not mean you don't like it.
Right.
It does not mean that you don't. You just have a critical eye for stuff. You can criticize, find faults with stuff, but still enjoy something.
Right. Let's see. The movies I've seen recently are going back a little ways. I saw Twisters, or whatever they're calling that Twister sequel. I shut it off after 15 minutes.
Why?
I couldn't take them. I couldn't take the stereotypes. I thought those characters were just awful. I could not stand it. I just couldn't stand it. I know it made a lot of money in the box office, but it doesn't take a lot to do that these days. I thought it was. I don't know. I didn't watch the whole thing, so maybe it's not always the same. But they should have hired some military people to write their military characters.
Yeah,
and they need to stop Mary suing this actress in the first 5 minutes of the movie.
Yep, I know. Hey, Wes King, oh man, I got the dates wrong, but he was playing 15 minutes from his house on Wednesday the 18th at 7 o'clock, took a nap and set his alarm for 5:30 a.m.
Oh,
oh my gosh.
I hate that. We've all been there. I hate that.
Oh, you know what's worse is when you end up taking a nap, or when you get home from work, you wake up and it's like 6:30, 6:45. It's still somewhat daylight outside. You wake up and call your boss and, hey, I'll be in. I'm running late. Like, what? What? It's the wrong day. Anyway.
Yeah,
but
I've had that panic before too.
Yeah, I've heard Wild Robot is really good. I think that's one our friend Daisy wants to see. But I hear it's a tearjerker though. So hey, So.
I've seen Despicable Me 4 about 5,000 times.
Yeah, it's amazing. Despicable Me 4 though was really good for another sequel.
Mm-hmm.
We really enjoyed it, and we don't have little ones anymore. We actually enjoyed it as a movie. We thought it was pretty good and a lot of fun.
Or as it's called in this household by half the household, Minions 4. Because
that's what people go for. Yes, exactly. Yeah, you guys say Bowsette trouble from renting Twisters then.
Yeah, I think it made money because there was little else out in the theater, honestly.
It probably did. I don't know. Some movies you see it a train wreck coming. Why wait so long to do a sequel or another movie of it? Then you don't use the original actors. Of course, no, some are still not alive, but still, it's not the same. It's just I don't know. At what point are we going to quit getting these reboots, sequels, and all the other type of hand-me-down movies? Not original.
And if you like the movie, cool. I'm not telling you, anything bad about you. I just did not like it. But back to Despicable Me 4. The kids love it. I think the humor's pretty decent. It hasn't gotten to the point where it's super annoyingly bad or anything. I could watch it more times than I could watch the Paw Patrol movies over and over and over again.
Yeah.
But I think they could do a Despicable Me 5 and it wouldn't be seeming painful or anything, right? It had a nice self-contained story that there was some hijinks. It was fun with the dad and his baby son. And just seeing some of the things they get into there. There's a honey badger thing, so Wisconsin fans are going to love that. The animation was really good. The soundtrack was good. I would just I recommend it. I mean, it came out way back in June, but those are the two most recent things I've had time to go see.
The terror is real, Wes Cagle. The terror is real. If you've never woken up with that panic.
Well, see, you live in the South enough to where you don't get as long as sun in the wintertime, in the summertime, but you also don't get as long a night in the winter, right? So in Michigan or in the
summer, well, let me say in the summer, say like June, which is the longest day, usually sunsets like 9:15. It's after 9 a bit. In the winter, sunsets could be as early as like 5:20, 5:25.
Right.
On the shortest day.
Oh, see, we'll still have sunlight.
JT, yes. Years ago, we went to Cincinnati in freaking August. It's 10 o'clock. It's still sunlight outside.
Yeah,
It
I
was
was going to
starting to go
say.
down, and I'm like, "Holy hell! How do your kids go to school? I need to go to sleep to go to school." I mean, the anchor. But what was weird was the anchors were talking like it was a big deal, and I'm like, "You people live here. What is this news to you?" It was after 10 p.m. and I was like, "Holy crap!"
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
how do Mrs. says blackout curtains, but
So it's
I
even worse if you go further north, right?
and
And
you try to get your kids to sleep too during the summer.
it'll be
How can
after
you do
10
that?
o'clock. It'll be after 10 o'clock on the 4th of July, and you still have some sunlight. So you got to wait until 10 o'clock to even start thinking about fireworks,
Oh
right?
gosh, no wonder they
It's
shoot fireworks way late at night.
Yeah. So, but then in the wintertime, in daylight saving does no favors for any of this, by the way.
No.
You're looking at 4 o'clock, it's dark. So you're driving into work, it's dark. You're driving home, it's dark, and you're just like, really, why do
Yeah.
I live here? By the time it hits the end of January, you're like, why do I live here? This is just,
All right,
yeah.
Max is going to bed. It's been a long weekend. Hey, Max, good to
Take care,
see you
Max.
tonight. There, thanks for coming by, hanging out. Atwood, hello. How are you doing? So, and Peter's Cat says, if I set an alarm now, I get a message on the phone that says set for 2 hours, 15 minutes from now, or 20 hours, or one day, 2 hours. Oh my goodness, we still got 11 people with us. Thank y'all for being here with us tonight. Yeah, just like you said, Despicable Me was a fun movie. I think even the adults could enjoy.
Mhm.
I tell you, I didn't like Beetlejuice, and I may spoil it, but you know what? So what? Because it's been out long enough. I personally am of the type of thing, especially if you come over to the channel, is that if you have not watched a movie within a week, then it's all fair. If you're a fan of a franchise like Star Wars or something, if you haven't
Right.
seen it in the first week, then then I'm sorry. You can only wait so long to talk about something before it really becomes too late to talk about it, for that matter. And
Right.
but Beetlejuice, just Atwood still doesn't have the internet back up. Dang, sorry, dude. Hopefully it comes back for you very, very soon. I know it's been off and on the last couple of days for him. But this movie was just, it did not have that funny, it didn't have that campy feel of the first one, the original.
Mhm.
We
Mhm.
knew it was about a dead guy. We knew there were deaths, but it was all kind of fake, funny. Michael Keaton was crazy and really pushed the line at times, but it was a certain thing. This time it just felt so real. It felt different. It felt more like maybe a real horror movie more than, a lightweight comical movie. I mean, there were good things with it. Mrs. and I we talked about that a bit before. We liked it in some ways, but really, if you wanted the original type, if you wanted a sequel to the original, it was so much darker. That's what got me the most with it. Have you had a chance to see it yet?
No, and a lot of people may not like this take. I didn't like the first one,
Yeah.
so I wouldn't care to go see the second. And I've heard mixed things about it. Some people really liked the second one, and I find that those people that just have a thing for the first movie liked the second one. People that were just kind of like, okay, yeah, I saw the first one, are a little bit softer on the second one as well.
Yeah, I tell you, because I don't know, we struggled with that movie. Near the end, we started talking out loud. We don't do that in movies, but it was kind of like the Flash type bad. It's like at some point you're just okay, this is ridiculous, and we had nobody around us either, so it wasn't like we were bothering anybody because we were talking about this is stupid. We had like a way too long musical number about cake in the rain and stuff like this, and it was just like
You start thinking
it
about,
was
I got to mow the lawn tomorrow, and I got
yeah
like
it,
when
it
that
was
stuff happens.
it was reminiscent of the damn opening scene of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. I still hate that damn opening. Everybody looks at me like I'm an idiot, but I don't care because I want Indiana Jones in a good um, archaeological open, not some Broadway number, you know.
Mhm.
And I just did not like But I didn't. What they did was they spent too long on some of the silly stuff. What made the first was some of those cute songs and stuff. They were done in and out. And they did. This one number was like everybody got possessed, and it just was like it went on and on and on, and it was like they had too many different plot lines in it. They teased Beetlejuice's wife. They gave some backstory. It was actually cool, but it was just like they blew over at the conclusion way too quick. And there's just a lot of, again, it focused more on the humans, and it became a teen drama in some part instead of it being like the first one. So it just, Mrs. could see a lot of stuff with that. Yeah, I heard about Kathleen Kennedy in that scene, but I just
well, now I really would not like to spend time watching this thing.
Yeah. See, Wes K said, I'm not in a rush to see the second one. I love the first one. Might be the result of being, yeah, but not just that, Wes Cagle. Do not expect the first one again. It really was really different. And that's why I was, if the missus here, she could tell you what she thought with it. But it was like Tim Burton was unleashed. Tim Burton 1988 kind of had to be sort of dark, but funny dark. This movie was really more of a modern Tim Burton movie. There's a couple scenes. Actually, you see blood, and it was different. When you see blood, it starts to enter the world of realism, which Beetlejuice always was. We knew it was fake, but this one tried to be something different than the first one. So, Blasphemy, opening a tip stream was great. Love that song, and that verse is my favorite. Oh, well, Wes Cagle. Hey, we'll blame it on the state of New Jersey, and we can agree on that. But hey, thanks for everybody here. So I appreciate JT coming on.
Sure.
Yeah. So, but let's see what we got. But yeah, that was the main movie that we've seen lately. So, yeah, some directors are better when they have restraints on them. Yes. As we see, Ruin Johnson is the ultimate poster child for letting them do what they want to do, unfettered. But then again, it's what it is.
Right.
Of course, I'm a sucker for any time getting to go to the movies with the missus, and for popcorn and a cuddle, and I'm good with that. So, all right. Well, we're going to go ahead and wrap up tonight. Guys, thanks for coming in tonight. We hit at about an hour and 7 minutes. Thanks for showing up. JT, thanks for coming on. We got some expanded sports ball talk we wanted to get on. And,
right.
And hit some other topics for everybody. Don't forget, Mrs. tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., Daily Dose of Positivity or Morning Musings. Make sure you're there for that. Monday through Friday at 10 a.m., and then she has other streams during the week. I think Tuesday afternoon she has a build, and on Thursday she does her ramblings through Fortnite. So check her out there. So, bring back the leashes on the directors. Exactly. The leashes, and then if they screw it up, lash them. Give them the lashes. I was going to say
leashes, leeches, and lashes.
Oh, there you go. Well, there you go.
Sounds like a Jeopardy answer, right?
Or something in the red light district, but hey, it's okay.
Yeah, that's all you, sir.
Hey, well, listen, again, thank you. Also, not sure random streams this week, as always, whether chill chats or late nights. Except Friday night, we will do the live stream again. The squirrel stream, our standard squirrel streams Friday night at 10 p.m. Late night with Dabman and friends. Also, join me Wednesday night for college football. We're going to talk about the SEC. We're going to spend some time talking a lot more about the Auburn game, definitely Georgia, Alabama. So be there for it. Help us break down those games and have a lot more fun with football as we look at rules and other stuff as we do that. All right, everybody. Oh, gosh. Let's see. Now we got the chat going now. So let's see with that. Let's see. Bring back that. Put them in the Trebuchet, send them to Pacific. Yeah, it's a trebuchet. Oh, okay. All right, JT, where are you going to be at this week?
Sure. So let's see. On Wednesday, I'll be with Dave C. talking about Battlestar Galactica, assuming I have power and internet, all that good stuff.
Yes.
And who knows? Maybe we'll squirrel stream, do something weird last minute with you and I and maybe others. Who knows? Nothing planned yet. Friday night, Mark D with a C should be back in the States, so we will be doing late night Fortnite. Saturday night, I'll be on Admiral Teague. And then we'll be back around for a whole week. And well, hey, Saturday we might do a college stream. We haven't decided. It's always kind of a we're getting games good today type of a thing.
Yeah, because I talked about the possibility last night, but it was just like until the Georgia game, it was like there was nothing worth talking about. Although the Auburn Oklahoma game, kind of the way it ended, gave us a chance, but. Just by itself, there were just not enough good games. And apparently the Minnesota 27-24 was a snooze fest too.
Yes.
So, but hey, all right, folks. Everybody, y'all have a great night. We will see you the next time we go live. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at DadmanWalking55. Follow me on Twitch at DadmanWalking55. Subscribe to me on YouTube at DadmanWalking55. Get the notifications from whenever we go live. And everybody have a good evening. Bye, all.
Bye.